There are several developments in the United States fight against Islamic State terrorists. The U.S. launched another round of airstrikes against IS targets in Iraq on Wednesday. Meanwhile, here in Washington, the U.S. House of Representatives endorsed the Obama administration's plan to arm and train moderate Syrian rebels. At the same time, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry made a pitch to senators to back the growing coalition Islamic State. CCTV's Jessica Stone is monitoring all of the action here in Washington. She joins us now. Jessica, very busy day for the Obama administration.
Very busy day indeed, but by all appearances, a successful one, Mike. We heard from Secretary Kerry during that congressional testimony earlier today that the coalition count now stands at about 50 countries, and that he's actually had a couple of them request to be involved in airstrikes in Syria. And after that congressional approval vote of arming and equipping the moderate Syrian opposition, we can expect ground forces to be in support of those airstrikes.
And I will support any measure that will lead to the destruction of ISIS.
I will not vote for something that I know will not work. Arming Islamists to fight other Islamists is not a winning strategy.
After an afternoon of debate, the U.S. House of Representatives gave U.S. President Barack Obama what he asked for: authorization to arm and train the so-called moderate Syrian fighters against the Islamic State, or ISIL.
The amendment is adopted.
But at the same time, many U.S. lawmakers question whether arming the Syrian opposition will work and wonder whether the U.S. military advisors currently on the ground in Iraq will ultimately have to serve as combat troops.
We've got a generational problem, which is to say a 20-year problem.
As top U.S. General Martin Dempsey suggested could happen during his Senate testimony on Tuesday. But U.S. President Barack Obama wants to set the record straight.
I want to be clear. The American forces that have been deployed to Iraq do not and will not have a combat mission. They will support Iraqi forces on the ground as they fight for their own country against these terrorists.
Yet as U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry took questions from U.S. lawmakers, skepticism remained.
We're relying on a military strategy built on rebels who at this point are under assault not just by ISIL, but by the Assad regime. There may come a point where what you're saying is that if the only thing that can solve this problem is U.S. combat forces, we're not going to do that.
Kerry insists that after 3 years of working with the Free Syrian Army covertly, along with regional allies, the moderate Syrians have consolidated their leadership structure and pushed Islamic State out of certain parts of Syria.
And as for other parts of the coalition, Kerry spoke very favorably of both Russia and China, saying that both countries were at the meetings in Paris recently and said about them, quote, that they spoke powerfully about the need to stand up to the Islamic State. Mike?
Jessica, thanks so much.